Has anyone ever shared the honest truth about what life is really like after turning 80? Reaching your 80s brings about a quiet but profound shift, one that often goes unspoken. It's not just about having more birthdays or moving a bit slower in the morning. It's about deeper emotional and mental changes. This stage of life is marked by a unique blend of wisdom and loss, of being present yet sometimes feeling distant, of calmness mixed with periods of loneliness. If you're not ready for these changes, they can be unexpectedly overwhelming, leaving you wondering why no one warned you. This message isn't meant to be discouraging. It's here to provide clarity. We're going to explore 5 hard truths about life after 80. The goal isn't to frighten you, but to help you face these realities with awareness and strength. When you see what's coming, you can prepare rather than be caught off guard. We'll talk about how social circles gradually shrink, how the body no longer recovers like it used to, and how dependence slowly becomes a part of daily life, even when it feels uncomfortable. We'll also look at how society starts to look past you and the emotional weight that can come when unresolved regrets meet an abundance of time and a loss of direction. Yes, these are heavy truths, but they also create space for acceptance, resilience, and the chance to shape your later years with dignity. No one else defines this chapter but you. So let's have an honest conversation about what really happens after 80 and how you can face it all with clarity, strength, and your head held high. Number 1, the gradual disappearance of social connections. One of the first and most profound changes many people experience after turning 80 isn't related to health, but to relationships. Your social world, once filled with familiar voices and regular company, begins to quietly thin out. Friends pass away, neighbors move to be closer to family or into assisted living, siblings become more withdrawn, and people you once spoke with weekly might only check in every few months. It's not that anyone means to drift away, it's just the natural passage of time. But even when it's not personal, the resulting emptiness can feel deeply personal. You might wake up one day and realize how quiet things have become. The phone rings less often, invitations to gatherings slow down. Family visits start to feel rushed, squeezed in between other obligations. The people who care about you are still there, but their lives are full, with their own health challenges, responsibilities, and aging journeys. As a result, the spontaneous chats and shared laughter that once added richness to your daily life gradually disappear. This emotional shift catches many people off guard. In your 60s and even into your 70s, your world is still lively. Friends are around, routines feel familiar, and conversations flow easily. But after 80, something subtle but significant changes. You begin to outlive people you've known for decades. You find yourself falling out of sync with others' lives. And this transition happens so gradually that at first you may not even realize it. I once knew a man named Walter, age 84, who had a cherished routine. He visited the same coffee shop every morning. The baristas knew his usual order. Friends would join him without planning ahead. It was a comforting rhythm. But over the years, his companions stopped coming. Some passed away, others moved, and a few simply stopped being able to get out and about. One day, Walter said to me, "It's strange to go to a place where everyone used to know your name, and now you're just the man in the corner booth." That kind of loneliness doesn't always shout. It's not always marked by tears or dramatic sorrow. Sometimes it's just the long silence after dinner or a walk that feels too quiet. It's the realization that fewer and fewer people truly know you and that there's nothing you can do to reverse that. But recognizing this truth means you're not powerless. You can still take steps to nurture connection. Even though friendships might not come as easily anymore, you can create new ones or strengthen existing ties. Join a church group, organize a weekly lunch with someone, pick up the phone to call an old friend, or write a letter. After 80, connection doesn't just appear, you have to reach for it. And while that takes effort, it also takes courage. But if you've made it this far in life, you already have that courage within you. Number 2, a body that no longer bounces back the same way. By the time you reach your 80s, your body doesn't offer subtle reminders anymore. It speaks with unmistakable clarity. Those minor aches that once disappeared after a bit of rest tend to linger. The tiredness that used to fade after a nap might stay with you into the next day or even the next week. One of the most startling realizations at this stage is that even seemingly minor health issues can shift your life dramatically in a very short time. You might start your day feeling just fine, alert, mobile, and ready for your normal routine. But by evening, something feels slightly off. A bit of dizziness, an unusual cough, or a sore muscle that doesn't ease up. Suddenly, you're at the doctor's office or even the emergency room, hearing terms like further testing, keep an eye on this, or we may need to admit you. Things that once would have passed with a good night's sleep now require immediate attention, and they don't always resolve the way they used to. What's especially difficult isn't just the discomfort, but the uncertainty. You can follow every piece of advice, eat balanced meals, stay moderately active, sleep well, and still find that your body doesn't cooperate. It's as if it's making decisions without asking for your input. A slight trip or slip can sideline you for weeks. A simple virus can leave you depleted for far longer than before. And even when you recover, you're not always returning to your former level of health. Your balance might feel shaky, your breathing may be more labored, and your stamina might be noticeably reduced. I recall meeting an 81-year-old woman named Gloria. She was vibrant, mentally sharp, and prided herself on being independent. She kept busy with her garden, daily walks, and her beloved book club. But then she had a minor fall while pruning a rose bush. It wasn't a serious injury, at least not at first, but the weeks she spent recovering slowly eroded her physical strength. She admitted, "It wasn't just the fall, it was how long it took to feel like myself again. I thought I was just taking a short break, but my body seemed to think I had stopped for good." That's something people don't always tell you about aging past 80. Rest doesn't restore you like it once did. If you're not careful, a break can easily slide into a setback. And even when you are careful, your body may still decide to slow down, whether you want it to or not. The shift here is moving from bouncing back to adapting forward. There's strength in recognizing this. You begin to treat your energy as something precious. You pace yourself not because you're afraid, but because you respect the journey your body has already taken. Health becomes less of a guarantee and more of a mindful daily commitment. And while you may not rebound as quickly, you can still build stability. You might walk more slowly, but with more intention. You may need longer breaks, but you'll take them with purpose. And in this shift, you come to realize that even a slowing body can hold a strong, steady spirit. Understanding this change allows you to care for yourself more fully. It's not about what you've lost. It's about how you carry forward with awareness and grace. Because while your body may move differently, it still carries the same resilient soul that's brought you this far. Number 3, the increasing need for assistance. One of the most difficult truths to accept after turning 80, no matter how independent you've been throughout your life, is that you begin to need help with things that once seemed effortless. This change doesn't happen overnight. It sneaks in gradually, almost unnoticed, until small moments start revealing the shift. You find yourself avoiding the top shelf. You grip the stair railing a bit more firmly. You hesitate before driving when the weather turns bad. Part of you still feels strong and capable, but another part begins to recognize that things just aren't as easy anymore. What makes this transition especially hard isn't only the physical changes, it's the emotional impact. For people who've spent decades taking care of others, becoming someone who needs support can feel unsettling. You might fear being a burden. You may even start hiding your limitations. Maybe you skip a shopping trip, don't mention a recent stumble, or try to handle household tasks on your own, even though your body's telling you otherwise. The urge to stay self-reliant doesn't disappear, it often intensifies. But independence in your 80s doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means recognizing when to ask for help and having the courage to receive it. I once knew an 85-year-old man named Eugene. His whole life had been defined by doing things on his own. He'd endured war, raised 4 children, and even built his own shed using leftover materials. But one icy winter morning, he slipped in his driveway. No serious injury, just a bruised ego. He told no one, yet his daughter sensed something had changed. She began visiting weekly with groceries and stayed to share coffee. At first, Eugene resisted. "I'm fine," he insisted. But slowly, those visits became something more. Eventually, he acknowledged something he hadn't expected. It felt good not having to carry everything alone. That's the key shift. Accepting help doesn't mean you're giving up control. It's a sign of wisdom, not weakness. It's a way of preserving your independence, not surrendering it. Allowing someone to support you, whether it's climbing stairs, getting to appointments, or managing groceries, can actually extend your ability to keep doing the things you love. And help doesn't always have to come from others. It can be a simple grab bar in the shower, a step stool in the kitchen, or a calendar reminder for medication. These small adjustments aren't signs that you're losing your freedom. They're tools to protect it. After 80, one of the strongest things you can do is say, I could use a little help. Because strength at this stage of life comes not from struggling alone, but from choosing peace over pride, safety over stubbornness, and connection over isolation. Embracing support can add not only years to your life, but quality to those years. Number 4, feeling overlooked by the world. One of the more difficult changes that comes with life after 80 isn't physical or mental. It's the quiet loss of visibility. You may still be active, thoughtful, and engaged, but it can start to feel like the world no longer sees you. While your family and close friends may still value your presence, society at large often seems to look right past you. The cashier might ignore you and greet the person behind you instead. At a medical appointment, the doctor may direct the conversation toward your adult child instead of addressing you directly. A server at a restaurant might assume you can't hear clearly or make your own choices. At first, these moments may seem like minor oversights, but over time, they add up and they hurt. Because no matter your age, being seen and acknowledged still matters. You've lived a rich and full life. You've worked, raised families, made difficult decisions, and weathered personal storms. So being disregarded simply because you look older feels deeply unjust. The real sting often lies in how unintentional these slights are. The world moves fast and favors youth, forgetting the resilience and wisdom that come with age. It's not usually cruelty, it's carelessness. But the result is the same, the slow erosion of your sense of relevance. Unless you make the effort to assert your presence, you risk becoming silent, not because you've lost your voice, but because others stop listening. I once knew an 86-year-old woman named Irene who volunteered at a museum. She had lived through the very era being discussed in one exhibit. Yet when a visitor asked a question, staff answered without even glancing at her. When I asked how it felt, she simply said, "I'm used to it." But the look in her eyes revealed a quiet sorrow, the sadness of being treated like furniture instead of the vibrant, knowledgeable person she still was. But here's the truth. You are not invisible. You are not background. You are still here. You still think, contribute, and matter. Just because the world forgets doesn't mean you have to. So what can you do? You speak up, ask questions, share your thoughts, tell your stories, even if no one asks. Cast your vote. Claim your space in the conversation. Even if your hands tremble or your voice softens, keep stepping forward. Because every time you do, you remind the world and yourself that your time is not over. You are a living archive of wisdom and experience, a voice that still holds value. And you don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to stay present. Refuse to fade into the background. Your story is still unfolding, and your voice still matters. Number 5, the risk of regret when purpose isn't reimagined. As you enter your 80s and beyond, a new kind of quiet can settle in, not just around you, but within you. Life slows down. Your days aren't as full, the demands on your time lessen, and with that comes space. Space to think, reflect, and look back. This can be peaceful and meaningful, but it can also become heavy if not handled with care. It's not always the kind of regret that arrives loudly, but a softer, quieter ache. The kind that sounds like, "I wish I'd spent more time with them," or "Why didn't I take that opportunity when I could?" It shows up in those quiet moments when there's time to do things, but not always the energy or ability to follow through. This kind of reflection is rarely talked about. Society tends to highlight the brighter sides of aging, the wisdom gained, the joys of retirement, the happiness of time with grandchildren. All of that is real and valuable, but beneath it can be an unspoken question. Now what? After decades spent working, caring for others, building a life, when that all quiets down, it can feel as though your sense of purpose has faded. I remember a man named Stanley, 88, who had spent over 40 years as a teacher. When he retired, he felt satisfied at first, but over time, that satisfaction turned into a strange emptiness. "No one needs me anymore," he once admitted. But the truth was, he just hadn't yet discovered a new way to feel needed. Purpose doesn't end with retirement. It simply transforms. You might not swing a hammer anymore, but you can build strength in others through your stories. You may no longer run meetings, but your quiet presence can offer comfort in a room filled with sorrow. You might not be solving complex problems, but your small acts, like checking in on a neighbor, can make a world of difference. The real danger of regret isn't about the mistakes we've made. We all have those. It's about staying stuck in them, letting them define your present rather than shape your future. But if you choose to redefine purpose, not as productivity, but as presence, you'll find that life still has much to offer and even more for you to give. The most meaningful part of your life after 80 may not be about leaving a legacy or earning recognition. It might be something quieter, but just as important. Waking up with kindness, maintaining a sense of wonder, and having the courage to ask yourself, how can I bring a bit of light into today? That's not regret, that's renewal, and it's never too late to find it. Final thoughts. Reaching your 80s is truly a significant milestone. It represents a lifetime woven with love, loss, effort, change, and resilience. Yet with all that strength comes a new set of challenges, some subtle and easy to overlook, others impossible to ignore. Confronting these realities doesn't show weakness. Rather, it reveals honesty. It means you've lived long enough to understand life's true nature, unpredictable, sometimes unfair, but still profoundly worth embracing. Which of these 5 truths resonated with you the most? Was it the quiet that fills the spaces as your social circle gradually shrinks? The frustration of a body that no longer bounces back like it once did? The uneasy feeling that arises when you start needing help after a lifetime of being the helper? Perhaps it was the sensation of invisibility when the world speeds by without truly seeing you. Or maybe it was the deep ache that surfaces when your sense of purpose feels unclear. Whatever touched your heart, I hope it made you feel recognized and understood. Because the reality is, you are not alone. Not in slowing down, not in moments of forgetfulness, not in the restless questions that keep you awake at night, nor in the uncertainties about what lies ahead. Here's the hopeful part. Even now, even at this stage of life, you still have choices. You can choose to reach out and connect. You can choose to rest and care for yourself. You can choose to ask for help when needed. You can choose to raise your voice when ignored and to speak gently when compassion is required. You can choose to forgive yourself for what didn't happen and celebrate the things you did achieve. This phase of life isn't an ending. It's a profound chapter. The part where every moment carries significance, where small acts hold more meaning than grand gestures ever did, and where your presence, patience, and perspective become your true strength and power. Thanks for being with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned and how you'll apply it in your life. Your feedback means a lot and motivates us greatly. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support enables us to keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. We appreciate you watching and can't wait to connect again in the next video.